I just wonder whether you think the January election is going to be free and fair. And if not, what do you think the recourse is? What do you think the US, what are you calling on the United States to do? Because let's not forget, the president is a very close ally, has even visited the White House. How difficult is it for you? I've just read a litany of the pressure you are under and the very real bullets that have been fired your way. Tell me why you're taking this risk.
I am taking this risk because it is worth taking, because nobody else is going to do it other than we ourselves. And in any...
You've got to appreciate the language. I'm taking this risk because nobody else is going to do it except we. He takes this risk for we as a people, as a collective. Now, that's selflessness right there. I appreciate that.
In any case, not taking the risk is even taking a bigger risk.
You're watching Mordecai Marissa Live political commentary. Please consider subscribing to help grow Uganda's Voices of Struggle ecosystem. Thank you.
I cannot appreciate you enough for using your valuable time to always go on social media, break down things for people.
And yes, indeed, hosting these from these United States of the America. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you're watching me. And at whatever time you might watch this, my name is Mordecai Marissa, and you're welcome to Mordecai Marissa Live. Exactly. And yes, indeed, thank you so much, folks, from wherever you're watching me. Like I usually say, I extremely appreciate the love from so many countries in Africa and across the world. So thank you. Malawi, Zambia, Zimbabwe, Sierra Leone, folks from Nigeria, Kenya, South Africa, many folks from Rwanda, Sudan. Now go to the Europe. I've seen folks from Wales. I didn't know we had Ugandans in Wales. In United Kingdom, down in France. Then I've seen a friend of mine, Jim, is in Russia. Many in the USA. Many watching from Uganda, the Middle East. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, how many days to go? Only 7 days. 7 to 8 days. Let's go. The voting of Robert Kyagulanyi Robert as President of the Republic of Uganda, famously known as Bobi Wine. Tremendous support from the African continent. Thank you, folks who are following updates. All right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, as we witness Bobi Wine facing all this kind of violence, there's a question that I've had people ask me, especially folks who look at our politics and wonder if these are all risks you have to face if you decide to engage in leadership or politics. Why would you do it? And that's what we're going to be listening to. Bobi Wine was interviewed in a similar circumstance in the last election. He was asked, why do you keep doing this? And from these words, it is why he's got a huge following across Africa and across the world. I mean, I'll show you. Yesterday, he was blocked from... Oh, sorry, I'll have to play you this. Yesterday, he was blocked from campaigning, from proceeding to where he was going to hold his rally in Moroto. And he had to talk to people who were there. This is what he had to say.
Where we have not reached, I am asking you, brothers and sisters.
He says,
where we have...
He says, brothers and sisters, where we have not reached.
I am asking you to send the message there.
I am asking you to send the message there.
You know this is a presidential campaign, and I am a presidential candidate. But imagine the police is closing the road so that I don't go to Moroto. This is the road that goes to Moroto, and I'm supposed to campaign in Moroto. But then
look at all these huge police trucks, using them to block the road. He's supposed to be in Moroto District to campaign, but no, he wasn't able to campaign because the police, in union with the military, They didn't allow him to go to Moroto. It's very sad. And this can be justified by a few elements within the Museveni regime. That's what they do. They're paid to justify the unjustifiable, to defend the indefensible. That's what they do. But look at that.
National military and the police of Uganda is closing the road. And the police of Uganda is closing the...
It says the national military.
Moroto. This is the road that goes to Moroto. And I'm supposed to campaign in Moroto. But the national military and the police of Uganda is closing the road. I found that for us, we don't want to fight with you because we respect you and we respect the uniform. But you know, it is very wrong for you to close the door. It is wrong for you to park your cars in the road and block us from going to Moroto. Because the Electoral Commission knows that we're supposed to be campaigning in Moroto. But for us, we are law-abiding citizens and we are peaceful. The world is watching when the police is doing crimes.
You've got to appreciate that humility, and it is leadership 2.0. I mean, if he was violent, as the Museveni regime wants to paint him always, it's a matter of telling these people, we've got to get to Moroto by hook or crook. But he doesn't. He says, hey, at the end of it all, we are law-abiding citizens. Let the world watch as Museveni and his minions and lackeys engage in a shameless breaking of the law.
The world is watching when the police is behaving like criminals.
See, people are pretty much wanting him to tell them, hey, let's use force. But he won't. He says, hey, let's try to follow the law.
Kufanya kampeni ndani ya Moroto. Lakini angalia polisi wamefunga barabara.
Wamefunga barabara. You see all these fists in space. When they shoot these fists, it is signaling to him, hey, we are with you. Give us orders. He's never told people to engage in any act of violence. Anyways, let's go on and watch when he was interviewed on CNN by Christian Amanpour. What did he have to say? He was going through the same circumstances. That's what tells you that really a regime that has completely failed its people, that you could mistake what you see here. This happened 5 years ago. You could mistake it for what's not even actually mistaking it. It is what's going on right now. Listen to what is being asked.
How difficult is it for you? I've just read a litany of the pressure you are under and the very real bullets that have been fired your way. Tell me why you're taking this risk.
Thank you very much for having me, Christian. And pardon me if I look so spaced. I've just been forced out of 3 districts tonight, where the police officers are not allowing me to sleep in those districts. Right now, I'm in Arua, and the only hotel that was willing to take me for the night is a hotel where my driver was shot dead, and I also survived death on the 13th of August in 2018. But I'm happy to be here. I am taking this risk because it is worth taking, because nobody else is going to do it other than we ourselves. And in any...
You've got to appreciate the language. I'm taking this risk because nobody else is going to do it except we. He takes this risk for we as a people, as a collective. Now, that's selflessness right there. I appreciate that.
In any case, not taking the risk is even taking a bigger risk, because nobody is safe. Those that stay home and keep silent about the enslavement, and we who speak out. That is why I dare to represent my people in this struggle.
That's incredible. That's a mic drop.
So, I said many people weren't even born when the president first came to power. In fact, 80% of the Ugandan people are under the age of 35, which is how long Museveni has been in power. But what is it that makes you believe that somebody who's held on to power for this number of years is ripe for a challenge and potentially could be defeated by somebody such as yourself?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I was also 4 years when President Museveni took charge of our country. But like you mentioned it, the biggest part of our population is under the age of 35. Precisely over 80% of our population is my age and below. These are the disconnected young people, the unemployed, the excluded, the have-nots. Our country has been divided into the haves and have-nots. So these are the masses looking and searching for a different, searching for better, searching for change, but most importantly, wanting to be free in their country, wanting their voice to be heard. That is the constituency that I am representing. What gives me confidence that we can overwhelm the dictatorship is the history, the recent history in Africa. The young people did it in the Gambia. The young people did it in the Sudan. The young people have done it all through history. That is why I believe that if we stick by the law, if we come out massively and vote, we can be able to overwhelm the dictatorship of President Museveni, and for the first time in our life, also have a taste of true freedom.
Amazing. Pretty much is making a leap of faith. This is faith emboldening him, pushing him, inspiring him. But you can actually even go beyond that. There's been many regimes that we've seen fall. You can read in history. There's no, and I understand, prolonged exposure to dictatorships or to tyranny makes tyranny sort of appealing to the vast majority of the people because they put you in a situation where you are depressed, oppressed, and utterly hopeless. You look at them, as a certain section of the people, look at them, these strongmen or tyrants, as their saviors. But I am inspired by the fact that nowhere we read about dictatorships or tyranny or totalitarianism or authoritarianism, name it, was going on a track of glory to glory. It has always been the rise and fall. You can read about Mobutu Sese Seko, Kukumbendo Zabanga of the Democratic Republic of Congo. You can go to Chile's Pinochet. You can read about Francis Franco. Go on and read about Muammar Gaddafi, despite of the 42 years of rule in Libya. Idi Amin Dada, Yahya Jammeh, he mentioned, and to mention but a few. So by those examples, you can actually go on and read about slavery and colonialism. I mean, it has always been, the faith of the minority within these huge tribes or these groups of people that say we can actually do it. It is the story of David and Goliath believing that you either allow yourself to be a slave or risk it all. Because after all, you are a slave. But what makes him a little special, and I don't want to sound like I'm heaping praise on the man, he's representing an idea. What makes his cause really special is the position where he finds himself. He's an extremely, extremely rich man. He can decide to retire, to quit politics and enjoy some time on the beaches of Miami or California or anywhere across the world, Ibiza, somewhere. But he says, there's no freedom for me until we are all free. Incredible.
So, look, I've interviewed the president several times. The last time was a few years ago, admittedly, but he insisted to me that the opposition is free to operate in his country. This is a little bit of what he said.
Opposition in Uganda competes on a leveled playing field. There is no opposition which we stifle.
It's sad. I'm sorry for pausing here. I don't know how this man was able to convince our parents and grandparents. He's been peddling lies since time immemorial. You can go back and look at history books. He's a complete, emboldened, shameless, pathological liar. When he was giving this interview, I can guarantee you, Besigye, who was his main political opponent then, was facing all sorts of violence because of just he decided to challenge him. It's sad.
But otherwise, we never restrain the opposition at all.
Never restrained the opposition at all. They opened up trumped-up charges against Kizza Besigye. They beat up his people. They arrested him a number of times, forced him into exile. Many of folks were killed when this interview was made, but it says not at all. How shameless must you be that you find comfort in telling lies? But to some sections in the African continent, they believe that this is a wise man. Let's listen to what Museveni says.
So level playing field, no restraint. Bobi Wine, tell me, apart from the very real danger, which is obviously, I guess, your overriding concern, are you able to campaign? Do you have access to the media? What are the issues that you're facing trying to mount a credible campaign?
Well, it is funny for President Museveni to say there's a level playing field for the opposition.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, I was arrested on the day of nomination on the nomination ground. I was beaten, pepper sprayed, and driven straight to my home. I have been blocked from using the main roads by the police and the military. Just tonight, I was denied accommodation from 3 districts. And like I said, the only hotel that was willing to take me in is this hotel owned by my friend, the same hotel where my driver was murdered 2 years ago.
Imagine a man who continues, to peddle those lies. There's a leveled field for politicians to enjoy these freedoms and rights. When a man is talking about how he was arrested shortly after being nominated, brutalized, assaulted, many of his friends and bodyguards. As we speak right now, 4 of his bodyguards are in prison. One of them was tortured, had his pictures taken while naked on the orders of the Command of our Defense Forces, posted them on social media, gloated about the same. He's threatened to kill, murder any person he chooses to. That's sad.
I am not allowed to speak on radio station. The military has literally taken over the campaign process. I am not allowed to access any town. And whenever I try to campaign, I am driven in very, very remote areas where there are no people. Thanks to...
Imagine that, because what he's talking about is this is a thing that happened in 2020 campaigns. And the excuse from the authority, they're like, because we don't want, people to converge in one area, we're trying to put in consideration the precautionary measures of the COVID-19. Now, there's no COVID-19 anymore. What excuse are they given? Nothing. Tear gas. Beat them up. Unbelievable.
The dynamics the way they are, because the people, especially young people, have had to walk miles and miles to access us. The only media that I can be allowed on is social media. That is the only media that we have that we can use to communicate to our people. As you mentioned, I have to put on a bulletproof for me to be able to campaign. I have survived 2 assassination attempts in the last 2 weeks, where bullets have been shot in my car, on the tires and in the windscreen. Tear gas canisters are thrown at us every time we are tear gas and brutalized and even shot with live bullets by the police and the military. That is the ground that President Museveni calls level.
Unbelievable. It is sickening.
Bobby, let me ask you this, because,
I think the video was paused here. Let's go here.
What do you think the recourse is? Human rights?
Yeah, I need to find a better clip. Just a second, right here.
Bobby, let me ask you this, because, I just wonder whether you think the January election is going to be free and fair. And if not, What do you think the recourse is? You know, we've seen what happened in Belarus a few months ago. We saw the international community, the EU, you know, make some noises, but not a massive amount has happened there. We've got a new president and a new administration coming into the United States. They say they're going to put human rights back, certainly somewhere centrally in their foreign policy. What do you think the US, what are you calling on the United States to do? Because let's not forget, the president is a very close ally, has even visited the White House.
First of all, I know that already the election is not free and fair. We are only going into this election as a protest vote because we know that the people of Uganda, even amidst intimidation, even amidst harassment, they will come out and massively vote. And yes, I am sure they are going to vote out President Museveni because 35 years is just enough. My only plea to the United States and the entire development community, the entire international community, all the development partners, we have always been calling upon them to put the observation of human rights and the rule of law as a precondition for cooperation here in Uganda. We know that the United States has a very strong partnership in Uganda. We receive over $100 million a year to work with security. But again, this is the same money that is being used to murder people, to oppress Ugandans, and to abuse human rights. Just over 2 weeks ago, more than 100 Ugandans were shot and killed for showing support for me, for coming out to protest, and yet it is within the law to protest peacefully. We do not have any guns, we do not have any stones, but we are being attacked brutally by the police and the military that are armed to the teeth. People are being slaughtered every day by a president that takes pride in murdering people. Just the other week, President Museveni came out and confirmed that he indeed had ordered for the mass murder of people of Uganda. So we call upon the United States to put the rule of law and observation of human rights as a precondition to cooperation, and to also call to order President Museveni, who seems not to listen to any other voice apart from the international community and precisely the United States of America.
Amazing. I mean, when I try to look at how foreign policy works, sometimes I become extremely disappointed, nihilistic towards sometimes politics. Because the United States works with 70, or if not, I think 50 to 70% of dictatorships in the world. And when they look at Museveni, they look at him as a useful idiot. Not useful idiot, useful dictator. They look at him as, despite of the fact that he abuses human rights, he commits all these grave crimes, he's able to make sure that the goals of the USA are met. For example, providing security in Somalia and engaging in other, international bilateral engagements. It is really, really sad. But how I wish the international community, at one time, they wake up one day and say, hey, if this is what you do to your citizens, we are done with you. That should be a condition. Because loss of life for one person is equivalent to loss of life to 50 people. There's no world where you would argue that, hey, let's kill this person who has not committed a crime just for fun. And that's what Museveni seems to be doing in Uganda. How about I kill you because you are contesting my ideas? So I'm really looking forward, and I don't know whether this will ever happen, where leaders, more especially these that fund us, these that help us, these that wish Uganda good, come up with these strict conditions on this kind of aid. You realize Bobi Wine is not saying these people, hey, please help us topple the Museveni regime. Absolutely not. We're not into that business of, hey, help us topple Museveni. No, we're saying, do you mind? Because he's not going to listen to the Ugandan people. Do you mind making sure that if you're going to help Uganda, you've set conditions that serve the interests of the vast majority of the Ugandan people, not one man? You have billions of money sent to Uganda only to be siphoned by Museveni and his lackeys. And these folks are not held accountable because at the end of the day, Museveni is able to help USA meet its goals within the region. And I understand the issues of international relations or diplomacy are complex. But what does it say to us that have had friends who have been murdered, friends who are still held in illegal detentions like torture chambers? Of what importance? And that's what makes me nihilistic towards some things that I see. Oh, this dictator can actually violate all human rights as long as he's able to help this country in one way or another. It is really sad. Ladies and gentlemen, what you just watched is an interview Bobi Wine had with Christian Amanpo 5 years ago. You might think he's talking about what's going on. Nothing has changed. And of course, nothing's going to change because you're not going to convince me that you believe that you're this special kind of a human being, that you want to rule your country until death for 20, 15, how many years? And are these people blind? The countries that we usually run to for help, look at how many terms they have for their leaders, like presidents especially. USA, 4 years. And if you think, oh, you still got something you've got to do to accomplish your projects, you got 4 more years and that's done. Why don't we take that as a blueprint? Maybe try something like that. Why? Why don't we try something like that? It's really heartbreaking. And it makes me sad. Well, I don't want this video to be very, very long. You can go on and watch the entire thing. I'll show you the YouTube channel here where you can watch the entire thing. It's Isaac Bartram. Yeah, you can watch the entire interview.
I'm just going to put their position before I head to another question. The government says that you were arrested and you've been, I can say harassed. They say stopped because you're quote unquote breaking.
I love Christian Amanpo. She said, I will say harassed. The government says it's stopped.
COVID rules by campaigning. But I want to ask you this. You call yourself, or you're known as the ghetto president. What is it that young Ugandans, the majority of the country, as we said, 80% of the country is under 35 years old. What are they yearning for there beyond the obvious freedom? What do they want for Uganda?
Young Ugandans are yearning for freedom of speech, for freedom of expression. They are yearning for the basic human rights.
Imagine, I'm so glad that he mentioned the freedom of speech right away. That's USC's First Amendment. Freedom of speech. Look, if I were hosting this show in Uganda, I would be abducted. I would be tortured. I would be in a torture chamber being assaulted by folks. Jeez.
They are yearning for the right to live. Young Ugandans are yearning for the opportunity to determine their destiny. It has been 35 years of stagnation. Young Ugandans feel like they are first world brains stuck in a third world country.
Brilliant. And this you can apply it in so many young people across Africa. Well, you can go on and watch the entire thing. Ladies and gentlemen, I think he mentioned something I really like. He says, young people are yearning to live. I usually hear people who ask for Bobi Wine to explain his ideological identity. Is he conservative? Is he liberal? Is he socialist and stuff like that? Really doesn't matter. If you are fighting for people who are wanting to live in their country, now you might wonder, hey, Mordecai, what does he mean? Uganda almost has 40 million people. Is he trying to say that all young people are being killed? Absolutely not. But voices of young people who can raise their voices against their leaders and they're not afraid that somebody's going to come and knock on their doors deep in the night and take their lives. Okay. All right. I'll talk to you soon. Please stick around. My name is Mordecai Murisa, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Did you enjoy what you just watched?
I'm sure they did.
I'm going to guess that you did. How about you consider subscribing to Mordecai Marissa Live YouTube channel? Thank you.